Ah, yes, the legislation of morality. A good lesson of futility. You know, you can't force people to be one way or the other. That's just the way it goes. I always said America's a free society, but when you get down to so many extreme religious people, yeah, I don't know about that. It could be any religion. If you get too extreme on it, no longer a free society. This is quite maybe a funny picture, and maybe some people are familiar with it, but it's like lips that touch alcohol shall not touch ours. These are the prohibitionist women that were fighting to stop alcohol in this country. Something I don't drink anyway, but you know what? I'd be against these clowns all the way because they're female clowns and they dress like clowns too. But one thing I want to point out, I know some of the people that subscribe to me probably from a while back know this, but newer people don't. These women got scammed. Yeah, I know the whole deal with the prohibition turned out to be very bad, but they got scammed from the beginning. And I'll tell you how. This was the angle. It was Rockefeller, John D. Rockefeller, Standard Oil. He gave them $4 million. Why did he do that? He was, on the outside, he was being a good Christian and, fighting the evils and all this type of stuff. That's how it was played. But no, that was not the game. See, he had Standard Oil, and what the new invention on the market was the automobile. And it was a fact that his Standard Oil was selling gasoline to the cars that are in his cities, but his competition was from farmers in the rural areas, and what they were selling was alcohol. So the cars would run on gasoline from crude oil and also alcohol from grain products. And what they did was they just all had to do is a slight modification on a dashboard to the carburetor jet or whatever it was, and the car would run fine. It could run equally on grain alcohol from farmers. But that was a big, big, big market that John D. Rockefeller wanted. So he shrewdly gave this woman's group $4 million. $4 million to outlaw alcohol. And it worked. They got the amendment through eventually. And Prohibition began. And, when there's a demand, you put the signs up here, we want beer. I don't drink beer. I don't like the way it's stuff. I don't drink any alcohol. But, I would be totally against this. Just like marijuana. I don't smoke any marijuana, but I think it should be legalized. It's just the way it is. But you got these nut jobs, like these kind of women here, for one example, that just try to legislate morality in every single way. They're evil. They're evil people. I'm sure Satan has them right now, and he's enjoying whatever they're worth. So, but, I just want to point out, when there's a demand for something, the market will find a niche that it needs to go to. And it'll just be a different provider. So that's usually how that works. So, and what happened here? Okay, so you no longer had legal alcohol sales. You had the Al Capones and all this type of stuff came about, and they provided the product to people with a legitimate need. So, stuff's been around for thousands of years. It's not going to go away. And I could say the same thing about prostitution. I'm sure these women are totally against it, but I could tell you that a lot of times people will say one thing or another about that, and they'll say it victimizes and all this type of stuff. But no, not always, not at all. In a lot of cases, it doesn't. Actually, regular jobs can victimize people too. So I always have a major beef with a lot of times these Christian do-gooders, because in effect they work for Satan. That's who they work for, and they're probably down there right now burning in hell. That's the way I would think. If there's a hell, these women are in it. But they got scammed from day one, and that is a fact. And that's just usually how it goes. So when there's a demand for a product, and in this case these gentlemen want beer, they're going to get the beer one way or the other. So that's what happens.